If you've got a ton of USB devices and you're tired of constantly swapping cables or dealing with hubs that cut out when you plug in more than a couple of drives, this might be worth a look. So there's one feature on this hub that you just don't see on many hubs, and I'll talk about that in a minute here. So let's go over the 16-port USB 3.2 hub. I'm gonna cover all the different features, show you what's in the box, talk about who this hub is for, all to help you make a better informed buying decision. Okay, so this is a powered USB 3.2 hub with 16 ports. It has 8 USB-A and 8 USB-C. And it comes with its own 96 watt power adapter, so it doesn't rely on your computer for power. And it's made by ACASIS, who's been around since 2008 and making USB hubs and data transfer accessories. So let me show you everything that you get in the box. Okay, so of course you get the hub itself. See the 8 USB-A, 8 USB-C. Look on the top here, you have USB-A 10 gigabits per second, and then the power in, and then the USB-C slot to connect to our host computer. Okay, and then we get the cable, USB-C, and then we have a connector, USB-C or USB-A. It's always nice that they include this, so we don't need another connector or adapter. And then we have the power supply for the hub. It's just a normal power supply. It's fairly big, see it in the palm of my hand. It's nice that it has a pretty long cable. Okay, so the hub here has an aluminum body, so really sturdy. It's about 8.7 inches long. Look at it compared to my arm right here. So it's not huge. It's roughly the size of a standard ruler and just under 2 pounds. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but still not too heavy. So really it's kind of smaller than you think it is. So the big thing here is you get 16 ports. USB-A, 8 USB-C, all of them run at USB 3.2 speeds, which means 10 gigabits per second. And what that means in real life is transfer speeds around 900 megabytes per second for both reading and writing. So if you're moving large files, video footage, game backups, whatever, you're not gonna be sitting there waiting forever. And here's the thing, that 10 gigabit per speed matters for some devices, but not others. So if you're plugging in a mouse, a microphone, honestly, the speed is irrelevant. Those devices use almost no bandwidth. So a mouse uses less than 1 megabit per second. So peripherals like that, any hub would work fine. Where the speed actually matters is when you're transferring files. So think flash drives, external SSDs, cameras. That's where you'll really feel the difference. So a USB 2.0 hub maxes out around 40 megabytes per second, and this one does 900. So if you're pulling photos off a camera or backing up files to an external drive, it's noticeably faster. One thing worth knowing here, that 10 gigabits per second is shared across all of the ports. So it's not 10 gigabits per port. So if you had 4 fast SSDs all transferring at the same time, they'd be splitting that bandwidth. And in practice, most people will never use this. I mean, you need multiple, high-speed drives going simultaneously to hit that limit. But it's just worth mentioning here. Also, these ports are fully backward compatible. So if you have older USB 2.0 devices like an old flash drive or a printer, or from a few years ago, I mean, they'll work just fine. And they just run at their original speed. Nothing breaks, you don't need adapters, they just plug right in. And one thing to keep in mind though, this hub does not support video output. So if you're looking to connect a monitor through USB-C, this is not going to work. Okay, and this is powered with a dedicated 96 watt adapter, as you saw, and that means it can deliver up to 5 volts at 1.5 amps per port. What's nice about this is you can run multiple devices at once without worrying about power issues. We've all been there, we've used cheaper hubs and even unpowered hubs, that work fine with 1 or 2 things plugged in. But as soon as you add a few drives, everything starts disconnecting. So with this kind of power headroom, you can run multiple SSDs, controllers, and other accessories without the hub choking. This also has surge protection and supports hot swapping, so you can plug and unplug devices without having to restart anything. And it's also certified FCC, UL, CE, UKCA, so it meets all the safety standards here. Okay, so each of these 16 ports has its own power switch. That is right. Each has their own power switch. You can see the little toggle switches here. And this is the feature that I mentioned at the start, the one that I use all the time and just you don't see on many hubs. So you can turn off specific devices without physically unplugging them. So if you've got something that you don't need running all the time, like a flash drive you only use occasionally, you can just flip the switch off. It's incredibly nice. I mean, I'm so used to hubs that you just always everything's on when it's plugged in. And this also means you're not constantly wearing out the ports by plugging and unplugging things. Once you have these switches, I mean, you realize how annoying it is not to have them. And also what's nice about the aluminum body here is it dissipates heat really well. So when you have a lot of devices connected, things can get warm, and the aluminum helps keep everything cool and stable. And of course, it's just durable. I feel like I can kind of drop this and just, it'd be completely fine. Another great thing about this hub is it works pretty much with everything. Windows XP through Windows 11, macOS, Linux, Unix. I mean, you just plug it and play across the board here. So you don't need to install any drivers. We all hate drivers. This doesn't have that. So you just plug it in and it works. Okay, so let's go over a demo of me plugging in a bunch of SSDs and other peripherals so you can see this loaded up a bit. Okay, so we got it set up here. I added a bunch of devices to this. I didn't fully load it up. That was quite a lot to add. So I'll just go over what I added here. So these 3 right here, 1, 2, 3, those are all external drives. I'll show you on my computer as well. The drives, we got this one here, an SSD drive, SSD drive, SSD drive. And then right here, we have the webcam attached. I'll go ahead and show you that as well. And then we have 3 things attached for the USB-A. So we have another external drive, non-SSD attached. And then we have the Blue Yeti microphone attached. And then right here, we have the Stream Deck Mini attached. So 7 things attached. You can see the lights are on. Go ahead and show you right now. We can just turn one off. Or let me just show you what's attached so far. So if we look, we can see there's the 𝗪𝗪𝗘𝗏 attached. That's right here. And then next, right below that, we have the Extreme SSD and the T7 Shield. So if we go here, this is the Extreme SSD, and this is the T7 Shield. Okay, then we look back over here. Below that, we have the Seagate. So if we look to the right, there's the Seagate, it's on. So everything's connected. Okay, and then show you the camera. So we have the Lyra cam connected. That's right here. See, it's on, it has the green on. And then we can see that it's working just fine. Then let me navigate to the sound on my computer so you can see the Blue Yeti input. Okay, I'll go to that. So USB advanced audio device. Okay, right now the mute is on. See, it's flashing right there. I have little blackout stickers on it to stop the light. You can see it's blinking. And all of a sudden we can see that the input level is coming through as soon as I press that button to unmute the Blue Yeti microphone. So everything is working perfectly, and we still have many more ports to go, and I already loaded up 7. So you can see that this thing is a workhorse. Okay, and then just to show you the powering on and off. So we'll go ahead and power off the 𝗪𝗪𝗘𝗏 here. Okay, so we can see again that it is right here. Go ahead and turn it off. And then the 𝗪𝗪𝗘𝗏 is gone. You can turn it back on, go ahead and press the button. Okay, and then it appears again. So yeah, I love these switches. They're just incredible. Okay, so what do I like about this hub? So the 16 ports is of course a lot, plenty of room to grow with this. The power design means it actually handles multiple devices without dropping out. And the individual switches, I absolutely love them. I wish just all hubs, docking stations, all that had these switches. It's super convenient. The solid aluminum on this thing is great also, keeps it cool. Also, I like just how compatible it is with everything, and it's just plug and play. Okay, so one thing that could be improved about this, it doesn't support video output. I wish this supported video outputs. That would just make this just so much better. You can plug in your monitors. This is strictly for data and power, not display. So just keep that in mind. So who should get this? Really, content creators with multiple drives, if you're juggling camera footage on one SSD, project files on another, backup drives for archiving. I mean, the struggle of constantly swapping cables. And 16 ports at 10 gigabits means all your drives stay connected and run at full speed simultaneously. So there's no more USB device not recognized when you add one more drive. This is also great for desktop users who hate crawling under their desk. You know, if you're reaching the USB ports on the back of your tower, and this is the least favorite thing to do, this solves that. It just makes it so much easier. I mean, you just put it right next to your monitor and everything is within arm's reach. So in my opinion, if you need a lot of USB ports and you want something reliable that won't just stop working when you start plugging things in, this is definitely worth checking out.